Integration is a buzzword in eMTB, but is it all good? Let's take a look at the pros and cons of removable and non-removable batteries. First, let's get it straight. By non-removable batteries, I mean ones that aren't quick, easy, or user-friendly to take out of your bike. Of course, all e-bike batteries are able to come out of the bike if you don't mind taking out the motor and unplugging some wires first. But for the sake of this video, I'm talking about batteries that only take a bolt or two, maybe a down tube protector, but no major disassembly to take off your bike. In the beginning, there were bolt-ons. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, they were easy to remove, replace, and take spares on big rides. They were largely 500 watt hours, and well, there was an insistence on keys. Specialized changed that in 2015 with a semi-integrated battery, which was located as part of the down tube and easy to pop out with an Allen key. They changed the game overnight. BMC followed suit with a beautiful looking prototype launched at Eurobike. It became the Trail Fox Amp, and with it came a ton of bikes with batteries that dropped out of the down tube, so to speak. Some came with covers, many came with complex latch systems, and others with a down tube that became so overbuilt the bikes were like gates to ride. Internal or non-removable batteries have also been around for a while now. If you remember the Rocky Mountain altitude power play back in 2016-17, that many people found less than ideal. But the power of marketing has clearly changed all that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Specialized delivered the Gen 2 Levo with a battery you can drop out. White tilted the Bosch motor around and gave access to the battery from underneath. This was a pioneering approach, and our Canyon Strives have this now too. In fact, the Spectral has a 900 watt hour battery, which can be easily removed and also comes with a 720 watt hour option. Side entry batteries have also been popular with Trek and their Rail, and their brand new generation of the Rail Plus even has what they're calling their RIB 2.0, removable integrated battery with an extra tension bolt for riders in really aggressive terrain to keep it nice and stable, and a secondary latch on that as well to stop any chance of that battery dropping out, which has been a problem with some bikes in really rough terrain. All easily removable with a quarter turn of an 8mm Allen key. Recently, White, Orbea, Norita, Cannondale, plus many more have been slotting 300 to 600 watt hour batteries into their closed down tubes with the option of range extenders. My esteemed colleague Steve Jones likes to think of that as like driving an Aston Martin with a spare can of fuel on the passenger seat. But these brands say that that is to increase stiffness and give less rattle. There has been a race towards more integration when it comes to proper off-road e-bikes, and I think for the most part that's good for us. Sleeker cockpits with just the essentials and none of the superfluous, I think suits proper off-road riders, but when it comes to more integrated batteries, that can be at the cost of convenience. No longer being able to quickly drop the battery out of your bike, for some people, makes that a harder bike to live with. So why does it feel like more new e-bikes are being launched with non-removable batteries? Number one, aesthetics. People might think that a slimmer looking down tube or silhouette overall is going to give you a better looking bike. Let me know in the comments down below. I kind of do agree with that. And I think also, there's probably some copycatting from the brands where they're all now in this race to make their bikes look more slim and more like a regular mountain bike. But also, I will bring up the new Amflow DJI bike. With that 800 watt hour battery, the range is so good, and with fast charging, that you may not ever need to remove that battery anyway. But importantly, brands are going down this route because it's said to be considerably lighter, although don't be surprised to see some new tech in the not too distant future that disproves that. It's true that at the moment around 1 kilogram can be saved in not having that mounting hardware for removable batteries, and that is a big consideration for brands. It's hard for them to justify 1 kilogram when consumers really are looking at the power and the weight of their bikes. All right, let's talk about some of the disadvantages of having these non-removable batteries. First one, of course, is charging convenience. Not everyone has a garage with electricity in it to be able to just plug their bike in. Maybe you live in an apartment and you don't have to lug the bike all the way up to it. And I've had this problem in the past when we've been out filming and staying in hotels. Sometimes they have somewhere nice and secure to keep your bike, but it doesn't have electricity. And I have overcome that kind of, well, actually every time, using an extension lead, but it's obviously not ideal. It would sometimes be much easier just to be able to drop the battery out and take the charger and the battery up to your room and get it charged there. The cold or the heat can damage your battery. So we don't have the heat problem in the UK, but if you're leaving your battery in a cold place for a prolonged period, it will damage it. So if you live somewhere where maybe you have a pretty extreme winter season and you have a bike that has a non-removable battery, I would still probably think about taking the time to take the motor out, take that battery out. If you're not gonna ride that bike for a while, and keep that battery inside. Some people like going large, and a mid-ride battery swap is obviously so much easier on a bike like this. We've seen this at the eBike Enduro World Cups, where some pro mechanics have got the art down to around 15 minutes for changing a battery on obviously a non-removable bike. I reckon on this white E160, I could change this battery in less than 30 seconds. Transporting your bike is a consideration as well, particularly if you put your bike on a roof rack. So I have in the past had to take the battery out of my bike to bring it under the weight limit of that roof rack. So that was 18 kilograms, and it was a front axle mounted roof rack. So obviously that's taking the front wheel off already. And then, like I said, I had to take the battery out. So you need a removable battery. You don't want to be doing that on any other bike. Fortunately, I have a van now, so I don't have to consider that. And even rear mounted bike racks can take more weight, so it's the roof racks you really have to consider. Also, if you do want to fly abroad with your bike, sometimes you can hire batteries at the location you're going to, because you can't fly with them. And in that case, you'll probably find that you need a removable battery bike to be able to actually hire the battery in the first place. Not a massive consideration for most people, but it is often easier to actually work on your bike with some of that weight taken off it. So my work stand I have at home, with a full weight e-bike, I can find, even unless I've done that clamp up really tight, the bike can kind of swing around and move. So if you can drop the e-bike battery easily, it's slightly easier to move that bike around and work on it. I think some future tech for e-mountain bikes that would be great, some wishful thinking on my case maybe, but you know, some standards for batteries would be amazing if manufacturers could agree on sizes and shapes, and then potentially on a mounting system, so that e-bike batteries could be used on different manufacturers' bikes, different e-bike systems. But I think that's probably wishful thinking, but that'd be nice to see in the future. Like I've said, technically all e-bike batteries are removable. Some are more time intensive than others. Some of the ones I've done have been really simple, to be fair. You've just got to take the motor out, which is normally just a couple of bolts and maybe some casings on plastic coverings on there, but usually really simple. The hardest part is probably trying to hold on to the weight of the motor and then take off the electric connectors. Sometimes a second pair of hands could be useful for that. But it is possible, and obviously it does mean that you can replace that battery. Maybe your e-bike outlasts the battery and you can change it in the future, but I've not been in that situation yet. Let me know what you think about the pros and cons of each, and what do you think about e-bike manufacturers who are bringing out new bikes with non-removable batteries. Personally, I have no real need to remove a battery from a bike, and I've relied on extension leads to get me out of sticky situations. And whilst we're on the subject of talking about lightweight, full power bikes with massive range and fast chargers, I can see a future where expensive spare batteries aren't really needed either. And we've not even got into talking about modular systems. Now there's a topic.